Okay, quite an interesting press conference there, Gillian, because they try to get into a few little specifics, factual issues that perhaps they thought would be immediately persuasive to their case, showing that perhaps there might be bias with one of the complaining witnesses that had a case that was in front of Judge Moore, cited that name, that particular individual who had already previously said there was no, contact beyond that point, but then nevertheless a divorce proceeding was in front of him. But overall, what did you make of the tone and tenor?
I think you should call a press conference when you have new information to present to the public, when you have something new evidence, new information. You don't call a press conference to essentially announce that you're going to hire a handwriting expert, which, as far as I can tell, is what this press conference achieved. So I really don't understand the point of it. I think it weakens the case.
Request.
And a yearbook request, which you could do via an email, a letter, a fax, however. You don't have to get, the masses involved in that. I think the problem with this press conference is that, the handwriting is to a certain extent on the wall already. We don't know whether Judge Moore is guilty or innocent of the claims for which he's been accused. But either way, I think this bodes poorly for the party that he elected to serve. I think that this creates major problems for the GOP going forward for the rest of this year, legislating, and then going into next year, winning new seats, because he has embroiled the party in this debate over sexual assault of minors, what constitutes it, if it's okay sometimes. And the whole thing, I think, renders the party incapable of governing right now. And this is something that he's brought single-handedly. And I don't know that this press conference goes any great distance to try and make things better for him or for the Republican Party.
Jess.
Well, there's a difference between being defiant and being a dead-ender. I'd say read the room, Roy. Your time's over. He's no money anymore, no endorsements, no thank you. Was this a response to Sean Hannity's 24-hour ultimatum? I don't know if everybody knows this, but Sean gave Roy Moore 24 hours to come up with any convincing evidence to justify why you're staying in the race and why you are not guilty of any of these accusations. And like you said, they came out with handwriting analysis.
But they don't even have the analysis.
No.
They're just threatening to get it.
Exactly. Perhaps this may have bought the campaign a little more time. I don't think much more time. They're trying to attack the credibility of Gloria Allred. Gloria Allred's credibility in Alabama is here, nationally is here, but they're trying to persecute Gloria Allred. And that's their strategy. I don't know if that's an effective strategy. We're going to find out. But to say that she had no contact with Roy Moore and then maybe he presided over a divorce seems a little ticky-tack, but technically accurate. And then the yearbook thing. I've been seeing the whole thing over the internet, and I kind of blew it off, and maybe this raises more questions. Did Gloria Allred help her forge the thing? I don't know. But this is a small part of the larger picture of women coming forward, teenagers, and other people on the record and saying that Roy Moore was inappropriate many, many times and many years ago. So you're knocking down maybe one allegation, but there's a whole host of other allegations, and they didn't address any of them and didn't even take any questions, which I thought was the wrong move PR-wise.
Well, I mean, but you don't even put yourself up there and to ask these questions unless you're going to have some specifics, some answers, but they're running out of time because it's such a compressed time frame and there's so much pressure mounting. I mean, they got a little bit of a break because the president didn't make a statement about it. But, Juan, what I think back on doing and working on so many campaigns is not only do you do opposition research, on your opponent, you do it on yourself and you see what else is out there. And you hire the best to be able to do that, to make sure that you're properly vetted so things like this don't happen. And it seems to me with the amount and, the quantity of allegations against, you think that some of this would have been told or known to somebody when they were putting this guy forward.
Well, from what we can see from the reporting, there were lots of rumors, but nobody had come out and stated that, in fact, this had happened to them. I mean, the rumors were swirling around. According to the latest reporting, it's not only that he was seen in malls talking to young women, but even in local schools and gym classes talking to young women. So that's kind of weird, but nothing that you would, say, oh, that's convincing or evidence or proof, Kimberly. So I think the difference here is that all of a sudden, with calls to specific women, some of whom were Trump voters and loyal Republicans, some of the women decided, okay, I will, put my name to this charge. That's the big difference. That's what's made this so explosive at this moment. The second part of it is that even while Sean Hannity says that Roy Moore has 24 hours to put forward some evidence that would vindicate him, you have Steve Bannon out there on the other side who has not withdrawn his support for Roy Moore. And you apparently have, according to the polls, a very close race in which evangelicals in the state really like Roy Moore and the fact that he puts God above all, and including above our Constitution, which rankles me. But understand that's what apparently a large number of people in Alabama respect, and why they want Roy Moore in the Senate. So this is you have then really one person left to speak, the guy we thought we'd hear from today, President Trump. Does he say, well, I don't know? Or does he say, like Mitch McConnell, I believe the women? And then what does that mean? They are thinking about asking the governor, Kay Ivey, to delay the December 12th election. She says no so far. And then Mitch McConnell says if he's elected, well, maybe we'll expel him on an ethics charge. Boy, this is getting nasty.
Okay. All right. Well, the president declining to make a statement today, Greg. So still, I guess, giving a little bit of air to this and room for Roy Moore and his team to try to do something compelling. What were your thoughts on what they produced at the conference?
Well, when he said it takes time to work out these allegations, he's actually right. And if this were in a court, an actual court, you would have time to prepare for this. But in the court of public opinion with an election, you don't have the luxury. You have to rush to judgment because you have no other options. So that makes me feel bad. I don't feel bad for Moore. I feel bad for the Alabama voters who are having a hard time with this because we put this whole issue, this whole scandal, and it's the prison of two ideas. He's either a pervert or she's a liar. The fact is, there are other options involved here, and one of them is it was a hit piece, and it's true. The bottom line is a voter can think that this news dropping 40 days or whatnot before an election is no coincidence. They can think that and still think he's guilty, but their anger over being screwed by the party or the media is enough to make them think, well, screw that. I don't care. So the allegations are serious. I think the Post article was, there are names there. There are sources there. This isn't some kind of anonymous thing. But I understand when voters look at this and they go like, wow, why now? Why? And then people will say, well, it's because people are terrified of coming out again, which makes sense because he's a powerful guy.
You're right to point out that they're not mutually exclusive.
Yeah, no.
He can be guilty of these charges, and the Washington Post piece can still be a political hit job.
Yeah, no, that's the thing, and that's
a gray area.
Yeah,
and some of it can be true, or some of it could not. We don't know yet because, again, they haven't had the time to go ahead and actually flesh out all of the details of it, make sure and see what's true and what isn't.
Can I add to that? This is the irony of this. In an actual court, you have more freedom to defend yourself. In the court of public opinion, you don't.
It's true.
All right, we're going to talk about this in the next block.